So now we're going to be looking at the theoretical and experimental probability a little bit more. Now remember that theoretical probability is what should happen, while experimental probability is what actually happens when you conduct the trials or the experiment. So let's look at spinning a spinner. Fred and Bill went to a carnival and played carnival games. One of the carnival games had them spin a spinner, and if the spinner landed on a green section, they won a prize. Here's the spinner they were spinning. The theoretical probability of winning is 1 out of 8. There are 8 different colored sections and only one of them is green, which means they win. Now let's look at the same spinner and do an experiment. They spun the spinner 10 times and got the following results. On the first spin, they landed on light blue. The second spin, they landed on red. The third spin, they landed on orange. The fourth spin, they also landed on orange. The fifth spin, they landed on purple. Next spin, they landed on light blue again. The next spin, they landed on pink. Then they landed on orange again. They landed on purple. And finally, on the 10th spin, they finally won and landed on green. So the experimental probability of winning was 1 out of 10. Out of the 10 trials that they conducted, they only got green once. Now let's compare the theoretical probability and the experimental probability. The theoretical probability of winning was 1 out of 8, which is equal to 0.125. And to make that a percent, we multiply by 100 and we get 12.5%. They had a 12.5% chance of winning this game. The experimental probability of winning was 1 out of 10, which is equal to 0.1 when you divide the numerator divided by the denominator. You multiply that by 100 and you get 10%. The experimental probability told us that they had a 10% chance of winning. Now let's look at rolling a cube. This is an experiment that the people conducted. So they rolled the cube 100 times and they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 multiple numbers of times. What is the theoretical probability of rolling a 3? What should happen when you roll this cube? What should happen for the probability of rolling a 3? What should happen? You should get a 3 1 out of the 6 times. 1 divided by 6 is 0.1667, which is equal to 16.67%. What is the experimental probability of rolling a 3? So this is where we're going to use the table to your left. They got a 3 22 out of the 100 times, which is equal to 0.22, which is equal to 22%. What is the theoretical probability of rolling a number less than 3? Rolling a number less than 3 means they roll a 1 or they roll a 2. So there are 2 outcomes, so that's 2 over 6, which is equal to 1/3, which is equal to 0.3 repeating, which is 33.3 repeating chance of getting a 1 or a 2. What is the experimental probability that they rolled a number less than 3? This is 36 out of 100. They tried rolling the cube 100 times and they got a 1 16 times and a 2 20 times. 16 plus 20 is 36. This is 36 out of 100 or 0.36 or 36%. So you can notice that the theoretical and experimental probability of rolling a 3 were very much off. This is because rolling a 3 has such a small probability. But when we add more favorable outcomes, we are able to get closer to the theoretical probability.